Hello, Legionnaires, and welcome to 10-Minute Introductions, the series where we provide a 10,000-foot overview of a game or game system and try to do it in 10 minutes or less. Stay tuned until the end of this video for information regarding our 3,000 subscriber giveaway. So let's get started. In this episode, I'm going back a long time ago to a galaxy far, far away to cover the West End Games Star Wars, the role-playing game. If you like these 10-minute introductions, please be sure to like, subscribe, and ding-ling that bell icon, and share this video. I will argue that the West End Games version of a Star Wars RPG is the best version, at least in the consideration of the original trilogy. It completely captures the feel of the original movies in an RPG format. I'm also a huge fan of the D6 system used by West End Games because I always felt it captured the best of both simplicity and tactics, as well as a sense of danger and character growth. To create a character in the West End Games version of Star Wars, the first thing you do is select one of the 24 character templates. These templates range from various types of Jedi, to smugglers, to senatorials, to Ewoks, Wookiees, and aliens, oh my, and so much more. The template just gets you started. It sets the baseline for everything else to come. After you choose the template, you'll customize it to make the character you want to roleplay in the game. Each of the template's 6 attributes are hard-coded. So if you want a character with a high perception attribute, make sure you choose a template with a high perception attribute. All of the skills underneath an attribute have a default rating equal to that of the attribute and are increased from that point. You will have 7 dice available to increase the skills you want. So let's pause for a moment. What does that mean? What does it mean to have 7 dice available? The West End Games version of Star Wars uses what are called dice codes, attribute codes, skill codes, damage codes, etc., so forth and so on, to represent the character's attribute and skill ratings. These dice codes are read as 2D or 3D plus 1 or something similar. What this indicates is the number of 6-sided dice you roll to perform a skill. For example, if your character's skill in Blaster is 5D plus 1, this means you'll roll 5 6-sided dice and add 1 to the total of that roll to determine if your character successfully shoots a target. So back to the template for a moment. If the character has a dexterity attribute of 3D plus 1, and you allocate 2 of those 7 improvement dice to the Blaster skill, which falls underneath the dexterity attribute, your character's Blaster skill becomes 5D plus 1. It's that simple. 3D plus 1 plus 2 dice equals 5D plus 1. Alright, let's move on. In its most basic sense, combat is accomplished by declaring actions, rolling initiative, and then rolling the appropriate skill checks for the declared actions. A typical target number to shoot an opponent at medium range is 15. If we use the previously discussed 5D plus 1 Blaster skill, the player rolls 5 6-sided dice, then adds 1 to the total of that roll. An average roll for 5d6 is 18. 18 plus 1 is 19. 19 is equal to or higher than the target number of 15, so with an average roll, the character successfully shoots the target. There are actions and conditions that can affect the amount of dice rolled, but we're keeping this example simple, and the few situational modifiers and conditions are easily understood. For example, the character can spend a round to take aim, which adds 1d to the skill roll, or may fire while running or wounded, which subtracts 1d from the skill roll. Now back to our example. With the successful Blaster shot, the player now rolls the weapon's damage dice to inflict damage, while the target rolls strength dice to resist the damage. If the target wears any armor, add the armor rating to the strength roll. For example, if the target has 2 dice of strength and 1 die of armor, roll 3 dice to resist the damage. If the target's strength roll is higher than the attacker's damage roll, the target is stunned. A stunned character falls prone and cannot do anything for the remainder of the combat round. On the other hand, if the attacker's damage roll is equal to or greater than the target's strength roll, the target is wounded. A wounded character falls prone, can't do anything for the rest of the round, and when the character can do something, it's at a -1 die penalty. If the attacker's damage roll is 2 times higher than the target's strength roll, the target is incapacitated, knocked out, unconscious, etc., until healed. Finally, if the attacker's damage roll is 3 times higher than the target's strength roll, the target is mortally wounded. The character is knocked unconscious, incapacitated, and makes a roll every round to see if the character is still alive or if it dies. You can't talk about Star Wars without talking about the Jedi and Force powers. All characters, even the non-Jedi, have 1 or more Force points. If the character trusts to the Force, what a silly term. Shouldn't it be trust in the Force? I don't know. If the character trusts to the Force and spends a Force point, the character doubles the dice codes for all skills and attributes for that round. Our character's 5d plus 1 blaster skill becomes 10d plus 1 for the duration of the round. Depending on how, or for what reason, the character uses the Force point determines how, if, or when the character recovers the Force point spent. Since we're on the topic of Force, let's just spend a moment talking about the Jedi. Jedi Force powers are rolled just like attributes and skills. If the character has 3 dice in control, the player rolls 3 dice when using control Force powers. There are 3 types of Force powers: control, sense, and alter. Control Force powers let the Jedi control the character's body, such as controlling hunger, pain, exhaustion, and health. Accelerate healing is an example of a control power. Sense Force powers allow the Jedi to heighten the character's senses, as well as deflect blaster bolts. Receptive telepathy is an example of a sense power. And alter Force powers allow the Jedi to move objects, so telekinesis is an obvious example of an alter power, if you remember what Darth Vader did in Empire Strikes Back. Of course, there's more to each power, but we keep everything basic for these introductions. Just know that through the combination of control, sense, and alter Force powers, the Jedi is able to perform some incredibly powerful feats. Starship combat is conducted in segments. There's the piloting segment, where pilots and gunners declare actions. Then there's the speed segment, where dice are rolled to determine whether a ship closes or increases its distance. In the first fire segment, the gunners roll to hit their targets, pilots roll to evade those guns, operators roll for shields, and damage rolls are made if any shots hit. Subsequent fire segments are used as needed if any gunner fires more than once per round. In Starship combat, damage is reduced by 1 die at medium range and 2 dice at long range, else it generally works the same for spaceship combat as it does for people combat. This is Star Wars. The possibilities for adventure are limitless. Adventures to subvert the Empire, freelancers trying to earn a living, planetary locals fighting against a local gang, relic hunters, and so much more. While the game was developed when only the original trilogy existed, you can use the West End game system for any era of Star Wars play. Don't limit yourself. Embrace the vastness of the Star Wars universe. Embrace the simple but effective D6 system, and embrace role-playing in the Star Wars universe with the best system and edition of the game. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video. Sharing is caring. I'm really interested in what you think of this series so far and look forward to reading your comments. Join Legion of Myth on RPG Digest every Sunday at 1 p.m. on YouTube. RPG Digest is a 3-segment live stream podcast. In segment 1, we provide fundamentals, overviews, and read-throughs of games and game systems. In segment 2, we provide opinions, commentary, rants, and raves on the RPG hobby and the weirdos within the hobby. And in segment 3, you can call in, you can join us on the stream to share your thoughts and experiences. And don't forget about our 3,000 subscriber giveaway. You can see on the screen the hardcover books we are going to give away. These hardcovers, unfortunately, are only available to continental U.S. mailing addresses, including APO and FPO, but for our Alaska, Hawaii, and international subscribers, we will provide either Amazon or, more than likely, drive-thru RPG gift cards. Maybe Lulu. If it is legal to do so in your area, that is, because apparently that is an issue for some folks. So help us reach 3,000 subscribers so we can give away these fantastic prizes. And thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and may the Force be with you always.